much, but I want to participate in that. So
Super. Okay. Thanks for that offer, and we'll see how we can fit that or bring that back when we get in some of the summer events going on. And I am having internet connectivity, but that's okay. We'll keep on going. Tracy, good morning.
Sorry, different device finding the unmute. Good morning, everybody. It is a pretty day in Anchorage. I'm grateful for that.
Okay. And I'm just having lots of internet connectivity. Ryan, you want to go next?
Hi, everyone. Hope you're all doing well. I am thinking about the 3rd Avenue site. I'd like to offer an invitation to y'all if you're available this Saturday from 2 to 4. There's going to be a healing ceremony that will be happening on the site that is facilitated by Mita DeWitt. And we'll have several other speakers as well as some ceremonial action that will be happening. And so, please feel free to join for that if you're around and available. If you know others who were particularly impacted by the site, maybe they were born there, maybe they know a loved one who was born there, or someone who passed there, who engaged with that space in a way, please let them know about the ceremony. We're hoping that this can be a moment of healing for the community on the site, and we can recognize the past while also looking forward at the future potential that the site holds. Thinking of the future potential that the site holds, I'd also like to extend an open invitation every other Wednesday. So this Wednesday was our first Wednesday, and next Wednesday we will not be there, but then the following Wednesday from about 5 to 6, sometimes 6:30, we're going to be, and I say we as in Seeds of Change, is going to be at the 3rd Avenue site. And so we're going to try and bring some food, try and bring some games, try and just have a little bit of conversation and a little site activation happening down there. And I'm hoping that as the summer goes on, we can start to explore some ideas for what's possible on the site, what are the challenges we want to work on in our community, and what's next for our community in Alaska.
Great. Thanks for joining us today, Ryan. Elijah, what's going on today?
Hey, everybody. Things are going good. I'm still kind of ramping up my building activity here at my site. So hopefully going to be able to get some, really get this live work entrepreneurial studio getting a little progress this year. So excited about that, and just following the blockchain crashes. I'm also into attempting to help kind of organize some stuff, maybe kind of like Valley/Valley Eagle River. So I'm willing to put some time into that too.
Nice. Thanks for that. Let's see, Bradley, what's going on today?
Yeah, I wish I had touched base with Ryan yesterday. I was sitting in the Fairview Community Council call, and there was a call for announcements at the end, and I wasn't, wanting to speak out of turn without having all the details, but it seems like there wasn't at least anybody else that was there announcing the 3rd and Ingress site, and I'm not sure if that's a point of engagement for the community of Fairview. But I was on that call and in the process of finding out how some of the CARES Act dollars are going to be used by the Muni around Merrill Field, specifically between Fairview Elementary all the way up to 8th Avenue, and get the sidewalks cleaned up, get some trees planted, hopefully get a cafe over here would be my dream in the next year. So yeah, just been focusing on my grant applications for Turnigan Heavy Lift, my hardware company, due in the next week, and staying in the loop as to what's happening on the west edge of Merrill Field.
Nice, thanks for that. Morning, Kitty, what's going on?
Morning, all. Is that audio okay?
Yep.
Doing good, enjoying the sunshine, actually getting ready to go out into the greenhouse. So I'm gonna probably listen in through a lot of the call without my video on because I've got to do some replanting of, put things. So I really need to get trained up by Ryan, but I'm a brand new greenhouse gardener and I'm trying to figure out like when to transplant seedlings into their permanent place. So yeah, that's going to be fun. And then I'm going to go out to Girdwood this weekend and see what is happening down there. So yeah, just enjoying Alaska summer and very excited about the writing contest results. Oh, also, as we get to the part about the summer themes, I will try to be like, if we have the discussion, I can edit that form because I know, like I drafted it, but things have moved. And I think the nature of the questions we want to ask, it might be shifting a little bit. So I will try to be able to do that this morning. But like I said, I'm going to also be in the garden, so my hands might be dirty. So good to see you all.
Good to see you and good
Jealous
to see
of you in Santa Fe, except for it's beautiful here. Yeah, I spent a lot of time in New Mexico because my in-laws lived in Elephant Butte. If you get to the southern part of the state, Truth or Consequences, it's a very quirky little town, but Santa Fe is beautiful.
Sounds nice. Okay, good. Well, and I hope Lucy is feeling better too.
Lucy's going to go into, she's my car for everybody else. She's my MG 1954. She goes into the shop on the 22nd, and I'm really excited to drive her afterwards because I've been anxious to go for a ride.
Okay, well, we'll get the
All right.
sunbeam out and go run around with you.
Let's do that.
Yeah, good morning, Jan. If you wouldn't mind jumping on, introducing yourself and anything that's significant in this last week you'd like to share about what's going on.
Yeah, good morning. So I'm Jan Milet and I work at Alaska Humanities Forum. And one of the things I'm working on is the summer magazine, which is where we're going to feature some of the writing contest finalists. So that's kind of exciting. It's always fun to start pulling stories together. We try to really do a good mix of different places and people and types of stories from around the state. So it's one of the things I really love about my work. So good morning.
Wonderful. Great. Thanks for joining us today. Good morning, Megan. Thanks for joining us.
Hi, good morning. I apologize about the video. I'm driving and I want to be safe. I'm Megan with AKV3 and I am just really excited to see the results of the writing contest.
Wonderful. Thanks for joining us today. Good morning, Pasquale. I'm glad you could join us. What's up with you?
Good morning. So today is kind of a mix of a true Alaskan summer, just trying to squeeze those sunny days while still working. So yeah, pretty active week. I've seen quite a few changes that are happening when it comes to resources in Alaska with some of the bidden laws. I've been trying to catch up with all that because that's definitely going to impact what is coming next in Alaska. And also trying to gauge what people are feeling about it. So yeah, this week has been trying to enjoy while working and trying to catch up because definitely there are a lot of things going on, big news happening. Also the onward leases, yeah. So I'm trying to catch up with that to hear the whole picture of what's going on.
Wonderful. Thanks for joining us. And Margie, good to almost see you again. How have you been? What's up? Are you in there?
How about now?
There we go.
Okay,
we
I'm
got
unmuted
you.
now. Yeah, I'm on my phone. I'm in Seward. Looking to do some fishing, and I'm grateful to be on this call, although I can't stay for the full duration, unfortunately. I have so many different threads here that I'm grateful to be working with you all on. And I'll just report from the Fairbanks Climate Action Coalition and Native Movement Front that, as we move into being able to work in person again in some of our small groups, it's really changed the dynamic in really awesome ways. We had a full week together in Fairbanks as staff. So I am grateful for COVID vaccines.
No kidding. Good. And thank you for joining us. And then I think Sarah is last up before I want to go back over and check in with the agenda and then turn it back over to Sarah again.
Yeah, that sounds good to me. I'll echo the beautiful nature of Alaska the last few days. It's been really nice. I also don't mind the rainy mornings though. I think walking when it's dewy and wet out is always sort of my favorite thing. Yeah, just excited about everything that's going on. I mean, Kai called me earlier about this Hometown Alaska offer, which is super exciting. And then of course, happy to have the writing contest being wrapped up because it's been a lot of work and it's finally coming to fruition. Happy to see you here, Jan. And yeah, I mean, just generally echoing Pasquale's excitement for all the buzz that's going on the Third and Ingress site. A lot of businesses are starting to kind of ramp back up and they're feeling excited as well. And yeah, the true Alaska summer is full effect. So I'm very excited for the oncoming weeks.
Great, thanks for joining us. So just from me, a quick comment is you guys, I think, gathered, I'm down in Santa Fe. I'm doing my little tour of the states right now. And if you get a chance or have followed on Facebook, I've been kind of doing a bit of a library tour. And you'll see some comments about things I'm seeing in the libraries as a lens into other communities and what they're doing. It's been interesting that way. But one of the things I wanted to share today in particular with, I was really surprised in walking around downtown Santa Fe, beautiful area, really, just a lovely place. But I was surprised that unlike most all of the other, mid to larger communities that I've traveled in now in the last month and a half, I didn't see a lot of homeless people on benches, and I didn't see the tents, in the little corners by the roads or, off on the sidewalks and whatnot. And I was curious about that, and I haven't dug into it completely, but I did a little bit of digging on it. And Bloomberg had an article that's posted in my Facebook feed that came out, I think, just about a month ago, that specifically highlighted Santa Fe, saying, hey, Santa Fe is kind of doing it right. And I was curious, well, what does that mean? Santa Fe has signed on to a program that's being signed on to by a lot of cities around the country called Built for Zero. And Built for Zero is a homelessness strategy that is essentially, rather than treating the situation as just something to react to, they're choosing to proactively figure out how do they design their community, their services, the integration of activity in order to move to essentially functionally zero homelessness in their community. And it's causing them to think differently about what they're doing, and it's working here. And so I know the homelessness issue in Anchorage, and indeed it should be important for all of Alaska, but indeed Anchorage is right in the news right now. And I think we all need to figure out, as we think about the next Alaska, what is the next Alaska in terms of how we treat everyone in different situations, and how does our community respond to those and different needs. And this Built for Zero, to me, is a great example of kind of thinking out beyond the moment and thinking more from a systems perspective of how to link and leverage and more efficiently actually create better solutions that, rather than just simply treating the symptoms, are actually trying to solve the underlying problem. So Built for Zero is something I would recommend to you. I think, though, it's also a lens into the thinking about many different issues that we might incorporate into exploring in this next Alaska discussion about how do we think about the big problems that matter, and how do we use the resources we have and the money we're going to spend anyway, but use it more effectively. And generally these strategies, like Housing First, or in this case, Built for Zero, these strategies are usually built on actually pretty conservative fundamental principles, which is, it happens to be cheaper in some cases to actually solve the problem than it is to spend and react and, in some cases, prosecute. That it actually is a cheaper way to get to a better community. So anyway, I want to leave you with that. I want to turn it over now to Sarah and the work that I know she's been helping lead in the writing contest, along with the support of a lot of other people in this. And see, Sarah, if you could kind of outline how you'd like to proceed with this discussion and bring us to, I think, where we're trying to be is on Monday. We had committed back to Alaska Housing, excuse me, I misspoke, Alaska Humanities Forum. We were going to be having selected the winners to help them move ahead with their planning for publication this summer. And so, Sarah, take it away.
Yeah, certainly. So yesterday I was able to finally get together all of the judges' feedback and then the final rankings that they submitted. We had two separate forms for those who don't know. One that was just general feedback. So there was 6 questions. Half of them were more open to, you know, what did you like about this piece, and you could write freely. And then the other half were just more quantifiable 1 to 5 scales of like how creative was this piece, how much did this piece, follow the rules, etc. And so in that, can I have the ability to share my screen?
Yep.
In that
Just
we
half
were,
a second.
yeah, you're fine. I was able to put together a spreadsheet, which essentially has everything already ranked. So I think, therefore, the winners are chosen. The biggest thing then is just that I don't know which submissions are youth submissions. And so that was something that I wanted to touch base with you, Kai. That way we could kind of, make sure that we have all of our categories covered. Again, for those who don't know, the categories are simply just like best piece, first through third. And then we also have a youth category, same concept. So it can be any piece, whether it's a short story, poem, or essay. And, as long as it followed the rules, which everyone did, then you have the potential to win. So that means as well that the youth, there are youth categories and youth writers who can win both prizes if they were a part of the general top 3, and then of course also the youth top 3. So lots of opportunity, obviously a focus on youth voices, wanting to get their engagement. But yeah, I mean, this is the spreadsheet. I'll link it right now for you guys. Basically, I just collated all of the information that was provided. So we had 3 judges submit everything. So I don't know who didn't end up doing it, but that's fine. Get back to Zoom. If I can.
And Sarah, while you're setting that up, I've got the information on the youth entries whenever you need it in front of me.
Perfect. There we go. There's the doc for everyone. But yeah, so I mean, I guess for now, I'm not totally sure how I wanted to structure this conversation. We could go over all of the feedback, or we could just generally go over, the ones that were the winners. And judges, I believe that is Kitty, if I'm right. Maybe it's Jan, Megan, and Ryan who all submitted. I'm pretty sure that that's correct. Obviously, everything is anonymous here for good reason. But just, yeah, reviewing everything and kind of going over what your thoughts were of the pieces and why you chose the way that you chose. Pretty much an open discussion, I'd say. I don't have any real structure to this because, like I said, through going through those forums, everything pretty much came out ranked by itself. So if anyone has any thoughts, feel free to jump in. But the top 6 winners we'll go through just in case they're youth or not youth is. So Field Trip to the Future was the first one. So that was a piece that kind of jumped from different time points in Alaska and kind of showing what that could look like. And that one was interesting because it addressed a lot of different problems that we're facing in Alaska. And obviously, there was good feedback for that one. Queen of the Harbor was more focused on like natural resources, as you can see. Someone mentioned that it was like a vibrant children's book, which was, I think, very fitting and apt. And so Last Job by Dono Frychuk, not sure if that's obviously some alias or something like that. A narrative about, earthquakes and the potential impact. Obviously, for those who have been in Alaska a while, 2018 had a really big earthquake, and I've myself heard a lot about that affecting people's perspectives. And once again, I actually know a few business owners who've just like decided to start their businesses because they were like, oh, I could like die at any moment and things could change in an instant. So
And Sarah,
those were the
that's-
top threes.
And that's not a, just so you know, that's not a anonymous thing. That's D on a fry check.
Oh, okay, thank you.
David is his first name.
I just wanted to offer that I enjoyed that story, and I guess well, I'm going afield here, but his reference to earthquakes is a really deeply complex story, because a lot of the story doesn't have anything to do with the earthquake. All he uses that as the context for, I think I'm reading into it, kind of this known time when the earthquake is going to happen is the known time when our fiscal situation in our state is going to come undone. And I love the story. I thought it was deeply interwoven with an allegory around the earthquake and what's going on with our state. So I'm glad the judges like that. I thought it was excellent.
And so those are the top three pieces: Field Trip to the Future, Queen of Harbor, and Last Job. Anyone else who read the stories, do you have any thoughts or anything to include along Kai's thoughts?
Hey, can you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Great, awesome. So the poem "We the Tongues" I thought was also worth discussing. And are we giving a prize essentially to each in the categories, or did that shift?
Yep. So it's the first in each category.
And maybe
I
I'm
agree.
missing it, but is one of these three a poem?
Honestly, I'm not sure.
I
Cool.
believe
Okay,
the
Yeah,
tongue is considered a poem. The other ones I don't think so. They're more Field Trip to the Future is more like narrative, or like I forget what the third category, and then Queen of the Harbor is more like a
Essay?
story.
Yeah, so I think I can help
yeah.
you a little bit.
The Future essay, Queen of the Harbor short story, and then I actually didn't read The Last Job. I missed that one.
Is Last Job
So
more of a poem?
if I can help here, in terms of the ones you've got so far, the only essay that we had was this field trip one. So I like that one a lot myself, although I didn't enter any of the judging information. I've read everything. But that's the only essay we had. I think it's a good essay, and that one basically becomes the default for winning the essay category, because it was the only one.
Mm-hmm.
And then just a second here, I'm adding a column to the spreadsheet here so I can try and keep track of this. And then for the poems, we had 3 poems submitted. There was the one that you just mentioned.
We the Tongues.
Yeah,
We the Tongues. And then there was, I wish I could see the names here now. There was the one from Alexandra Gross and the one from Alexis Miller were the other 2 poems.
Okay. Tug of War.
If We the Tongues is the poem that you liked best, then that one is the winner, and there was no poems from the youth.
Okay.
So that becomes our poem winner.
Sure.
Okay, so the poem winner is done, period, across both age groups. The essay winner is done, period, against both age groups. Now what we're left with is the short story category. And
So Queen of Harbor, if we all agree that's more of a short story, would be one of the winners then.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, so that one is in the adult category. So I think tentatively, that's the winner in that category. If that was, well, actually, let me hang on a second. Okay. So you guys liked that one. Donna, David on a Fry Checks was also in the short story category that you liked. Okay, so those were, I think, the two stories that you liked, correct?
Mm-hmm. Second and third.
Was one, well, no, what are you saying was the first?
Queen of Harbor.
I got you. Okay, so Queen of Harbor is Dennis. Okay, so winner story. And then, okay, so I would put David on a Fry Checks as the runner-up in that category then.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so the other short stories that we had, so let me start this differently. In the youth category, we had 3 submissions. The submissions were all short stories. So if we're going to choose a youth winner, it's going to come from, I'm sorry, I'm looking at the names here, not the story names. So if you can help me, Sarah, figure out which ones these are. But the 3 youth short stories was Cahal Burnham, Mahogany Magnetic,
Mm-hmm.
and Olivia Phillips. So if you can identify those 3, and if there is one of those that's the best of those 3, then that would be our youth winner.
So No God was Cahal Burnham.
Mm-hmm.
Death by a Thousand Kisses was Mahogany Magnetic. And then, sorry, what was the last one?
Olivia Phillips.
Maybe that was Octoplebe.
That's what I'm thinking too, because I don't
see a
remember
name
seeing.
on that one. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm gonna assume it
Here,
is.
I can look up that one here. Let me just pull up the link on that one. I'm sorry, I don't have this a little bit more organized to make this quicker.
No, it's fine. I kind of assumed this was how the call was going to go, just making sure we were all on the same page and everyone's informed with the final winners essentially, and deciding together and discussing it as well.
Yeah. So this one was, I'm looking for a name on it. Looks like it was writing competition stuff. Smile, Octoplead.
Yeah. What was her name? Olivia?
That makes sense. Yeah, that's the one that was Olivia. Going back, Olivia Phillips.
Okay.
So again,
Perfect.
the 3 youth were Cahal, Mahogany, and Olivia.
So Olivia was the winner then, if we are doing for the youth categories through categories. But I'm curious to hear your guys' thoughts then, because we have 3 youth submissions and all short stories. So what will we do with the other categories if we weren't to give them to the other 2 youth?
In terms of the essay category and the poem category?
Mm-hmm.
I was thinking because we didn't have submissions that we just don't, that there maybe is just one youth.
No, that's where I was at with it was, the youth winner will just simply be one youth winner in the category of short story. And it's, so basically we'll end up having 4 primary winners. We'll have the poem, the adult poem, adult essay, and those were, we didn't have any youth at all in those 2. And then we've got the winner in the adult story, short story, and then there'll be a youth winner in the short story.
Okay. then.
think in my opinion, then, I think there's a discussion point here, given, what you all ranked fairly highly, and given that we have essentially 4 primary winners, I wonder if there's an interest, and this is more of a question for Jan, I think, on whether or not you'd want to also put in David Onifrychek's runner-up short story in the adult category, given that it was highly rated, and given that we were thinking that there might have been up to 6 winners, depending upon youth and adult, and it looks like we're not going to have that many. That would be an option for you to consider.
Yeah, I might just need to look at word count and see where we are in terms of space for the issue, but definitely the 4 we could include, and then we could always have, I think I'd said before too, like on our blog, on our website, if we wanted to put more of the pieces included there or something, and say something in the article about if you'd like to read the other submissions, that kind of thing. But yeah, let me take a look at word count and see kind of what we're up to with that to include.
Perfect. Okay. So youth. Sure. Go ahead, sir. I'm just mumbling while I'm writing some notes in the spreadsheet.
Yeah, totally okay. Another conversation that came up this week, I believe, was reaching out to the winners now then and seeing if they'd be willing to give us a bio and a picture to feature with them, perhaps either on the blog or even, I don't know how you print things normally, Jan, but at least like a bio. And it was the conversation that actually came up as well with Kathleen for the hometown AK conversation that's going to be happening next week as well. I suggested maybe there was a quick segment where we took maybe even just an excerpt from the essay, the grand prize winner, and read that out. Of course, given that Carolyn gives us permission to. Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, that'd be great. We usually run just short bylines in articles, so just like kind of a little paragraph about who the person is, and so could do that. And then it would be great to have photographs, I think, too, if people are willing to share that, just to kind of, in terms of layout, to have some visuals, kind of graphics that can go with it. And then a little bit of an introduction to, this sort of program initiative and the contest, that kind of thing would be great too.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. And for AKV3 in general, what are you guys' thoughts on featuring the winners or all of the submissions somewhere on the website? So I don't think that it would be best in a blog, though we could make a blog post about, the place that all of these submissions are, but rather in maybe resources, or we have a programs tab where, then there's kind of a new section of the website where you can access everything. That was my thoughts. Pasquale, what are your thoughts on that? And then of course, everyone else, would you see that being useful to look back on, coming in the coming years? Maybe when we do the writing contest again, it would be kind of cool to look back, or, what are your thoughts on that?
I really like the idea. I think it will be useful to have it there. And I will add in one side of the website, these are the winners, so we give them recognition. And then in a different place, we add all the writings, because one of the biggest ideas behind the AKV3 was to stimulate, to start that conversation, to be the the recipient for those conversations to happen. And this writing contest, it's one of those conversations. People express what they think, and like in an opinion, like a tale, like a story. But it's one of the results of AKV3. And if I wrote something, I will feel really good if I can see it actually published, even if I don't win. And I think they deserve that recognition too. And who knows, maybe it catalyzes other people to also write those things. And some of us are more analytic. We like reports with data and graphs. Some people are more storytellers, but probably we all can contribute pretty well the same amount to this. conversation. So I will add both of them, and I have no problems adding as many websites, pages as we need to make that happen. That's a done deal. No problem.
Yeah, I agree with the
So what,
sentiment of having that, like the recognition to have them published. I remember when like I had my first article published and I honestly almost shit my pants. So yeah, it's very exciting.
yeah. One thing I would offer, Sarah, and this is kind of spinning it over to Jan, is I want to be cognizant of the role that Alaska Humanities Forum has in helping support the contest and publishing this. So I really want to get the input of Jan on this, because I think in order to enhance the value of their publication and the printing of it in the publication, going out and wanting people to seek it out and to read it and to engage in their efforts to publish this, I think there might be a way to think about having these top winners published there, and then maybe following the magazine going out, maybe then we might release some of the rest of them. But I wouldn't want to diminish the value of the magazine going out and our effort to encourage people to engage in the magazine, to engage in Alaska Humanities Forum and their efforts to do a lot of the same things that we value and are doing, which is to get people talking. So I guess, Jan, I'd look for your feedback in terms of, you know, how you see us potentially sharing some of the other ones, or maybe how you see sharing these winners and some of the other ones. So we're working together on this and not at cross purposes.
Yeah, no, I think, like I mentioned, putting those the selected pieces in the magazine and really highlighting kind of those winning pieces, and then yeah, I'm open to referencing in the article that all the submissions are available to see at, you know, either your site, or like I said, we could put links up on our site, or both, so that people get a sense of if they want to read kind of the full, but this gives also a little bit of, you know, the extra value of being sort of published to the ones who were the chosen pieces. So yeah. And our magazines also, we do print version, and then we also do put it up online. It's available electronically as well for people. So
okay, so it sounds like it makes sense to potentially we could host those, but to try and do that in a way that supports the magazine and use the magazine publishing to promote initially where they're at and whatnot.
Yeah.
The other thing I wanted to mention for both the magazine and also Sarah for the Hometown Alaska segment is that we have some sponsors that helped fund the prizes, and at some point there should be a shout out to some of the sponsors. I know in particular Meredith Noble and her grant writing thing gave us a logo, and you know, so anyway, we just need to be aware that the prizes, the cash prizes that are going out came from some sponsors that were willing to put up the funding for that. So if you could look for an opportunity to plug that, or at least acknowledge that this was possible because of some sponsorships that came in. And I put the link in the chat for that so that you can find it. It's also on the Google Drive.
I'm looking at that list and seeing that the majority of those haven't been received. Where should I be sending the funding?
Try again, Ryan. You're echoing.
Sorry about that. Margie, are you fishing? Perhaps one of the hosts mute Margie. I think we're getting some fishing noise right now. So just there you go. So I was just asking the writing contest sponsors, is there a address or Venmo or where can I be sending some funding for that? How do I check the box so it goes from no, not received to yes, received?
Oh, well, I didn't mean to share all that stuff in there, but let's see what has been that. So I think it's all been received. I'll have to double check. I know that one's been done. I know that one's been done. I know this one's been done. So I guess, Ryan, if there's one that hasn't been done, that one's been done. So at any rate, there's a GoFundMe account that was set up. So either that, or if there's any sponsorships that need to come in, they can come to me. I set up a bank account at Wells Fargo that I've got for all this money, and it's also where I ended up depositing the money from APU that we got for doing that event over there. So we actually all together have about $1,400 in the AKV3 bank account now, which adequately covers the prizes that we've committed at this point. So we're in good shape.
Okay, excellent. That gets me to a different question that I'll probably raise, but then circle back around later for some of the grant opportunities and things that are popping up. Are we organized as a nonprofit? Are we structured in a way? Or are we going to be looking for fiscal sponsors to help, get some money? Just something that I have had in the back of my mind. I think that I really like the idea of highlighting the Humanities Forum magazine that's going to be coming out. And perhaps we could put a blog post and some social media posts kind of like teasing who the winners are and just acknowledging, hey, we've held this competition and they're going to be announced in this place. And so here's where you can go and see them to try and encourage some folks to go check them out there. And then afterwards, maybe put a blog post together to say, hey, we held this writing competition. Here's why we held it. Here's who the winners are for it. And here's who the other honorable mentions are. Thanks for writing. Because I think for posterity's sake, if we do another writing competition next year, it'd be cool to show here's kind of the progression and how the competition has grown.
Super. So just quickly, we're not set up yet as a nonprofit. As we've discussed before, I've been leaving black heel marks across the floor on this whole idea of were we going to become an organization or not. But there is a grant opportunity that I think Kitty has highlighted that's due on the 15th that I want to spend some time on, this reverse pitch opportunity, and hosting some of the dialogues and doing more of this kind of work is something I want to figure out how to do. And I think that is going to require that we're going to have to take a step forward. My right setup is a simple sole proprietor entity. It was the simplest thing I could do to open up a bank account so that I could separate the funds so that they were in a real place. And at this point, at some point, I think we're going to have to pull the trigger to decide to become a nonprofit. We do have a federal tax ID now. So for folks that will be applying to, who are going to ask, are you a nonprofit? Basically, we're going to have to say, well, we're maybe going to try to be one. But that's another administrative step to take that on. And I'm going to also approach Rasmussen Foundation, which has I misspoke, the 4-Acre Foundation, which has a Solterra program, which is basically an incubator for startups, and nonprofit startups in particular. And I'm going to talk with them to see if they think this is something that would fit into it's either Solterra or Sultana. I may be mixing it up, to see if this might be a place where we could maybe land. And they provide a bunch of resources then for helping new nonprofits get set up, and some administrative and technical support. Yes.
Kitty here. So yes, I kind of went around the block on the same issue when I was working with the Climate Equity Council for Anchorage, and Sultana can be pricey. We also looked into the possibility of the Alaska Community Foundation as a funding opportunity. And there's some options there. But I was rereading the grant possibility due the 15th and just shot a question to Jan. You have to be a nonprofit to apply for that. And so I don't know what our options are. I want to kind of turn it over to Jan to see. I know fiscal sponsorships require a very committed responsibility by a partner nonprofit. And so it really is one of their programs too, like a co-program. And so we could consider who could be our co-sponsor if we wanted to go that route. So do you want to offer any tips, Jan, to us, given that we're not going to be a nonprofit in the next week?
Sorry, tips on what specifically? What?
Oh, so we're thinking about applying for an events grant. They're due the 15th. And you may have heard, or you'll hear more about, but we're developing a series of summer events. And then we also are thinking about some in the fall to celebrate the writing winners and maybe bring people together for an event style thing. So yeah, we definitely feel like this is a good fit for us, but the requirements of being a nonprofit don't fit our development at this stage. And so we've got options like Foraker, Sultana, or the Community Foundation, or a co-sponsor who's a nonprofit. Any tips for us that you can offer?
Yeah, I would just say that this year with our grants, with our event sponsorships and our annual grants, in the past, we have been able to offer awards to individuals or to, this year truly is nonprofit or tribal organization or a university. And it has to be more than just, it can't just be a pass through. So it has to be more than just a fiscal connection in terms of we can't write somebody a check and they just write it to you and that's the only relationship they have. So that's a little bit different than in the past. We used to be able to do that a little bit more. So if you connected with an organization, I would just say that this is where I think it might not work, but you would have to be more than they've signed on as a, someone who can again pass the money through. It has to actually have they'd have to have some component of engagement or involvement in the event, in the activity, which I guess could be possible, but it has to be a true, again, engagement and not just a pass through. So
right. I did read all that. And
yeah,
we've got some folks on the call who all are active, like Seeds for Change and others. I also considered Alaska Common Ground, but this may be too big of a topic for today's agenda, but we probably need to decide if we're going to go for it or not relatively soon.
I would throw FCAC and Native Movement there as some of the other C3s that I'm representing.
Briefly, I'm curious. It sounds like the downsides of going the 501c3 route are just the costs or the administrative, cumbersome nature of it.
Well, in the near term, it's the timing. We couldn't get there that fast. It's Sultana, the Foraker program they do, like Kai said, like a incubator for nonprofits. That might be able to be done sooner, but it does come with a cost, which might be worth it for us because of the additional supports and technical support that Foraker offers. So there's more research to be done there. But, in the near term, I think actually finding a co-sponsor that really, or one or two that really supports the summer themes and the dialogues that we're talking about having in community conversations, that would be the ideal for this immediate opportunity. And I'd be happy to help write the grant if we have that kind of a partner amongst one of you on the phone call. So, we can follow up with that.
Yeah, I think that the 501c3 and structuring AKV3 is probably a larger conversation than what's worth getting into today. Part of it is the burden for administering it, getting the board together, doing all the reporting and all that fun stuff that goes with it. But some of it is just sort of it opens you up to grants, but it also can restrict some other access to different types of funding. And so based on what the outcomes are that we're looking for and what we're hoping the organization can grow into in the future, then that I think should be taken into consideration. For some partners, Alaska Seeds of Change, we're doing that summer series at the third app space, and we're something that we're looking for is how do we get some food on the site? Because anytime you offer somebody food, you get more people that show up. And so maybe this could be a way to do a little collaboration and to get some questions and some words of wisdom that then come along with a little bit of food in partnership with AKV3 and potentially a end of the summer large gathering and conversation that happens or something fun like that. Another potential tie-in could be the Alaska World Affairs Council. They've got a Whiskey Tango Foxtrot talk series that kind of looks at different international topics or current events that's happening. And there was just a meeting yesterday for programming, and one of the topics that got brought up was economic development and sustainable development around the world and what's working and what's not working. And so there could be a potential tie-in there. But I know that there's a number of excellent organizations that are in our community. And frankly, that's one of the other challenges for nonprofits is we're just really crowded in the nonprofit space up here. There's about 15 million of them.
I've got to hop off for another call. I will see you tomorrow at 2 o'clock, Ryan, at the site, and hopefully others there as well.
Thanks. And Bradley and others, as you need to wrap up, reminder, 10 a.m. on Monday is the Hometown AK show. And so I know I'd encourage everyone to watch for that, perhaps even be ready to call in if you get a chance to do that. But thanks for joining us, Bradley. I do want to wrap up, but I do want to steer it back to Sarah. Is there anything specific you'd like to bring up that you need help with in terms of the discussions you're having with Kathleen McCoy and others on the show, or do you feel like it's kind of mostly kind of sorted out? What can you share with us about where we're at and what you need?
Yeah, I think we need to finalize everything and get it nailed down. So we don't currently have who's going to be speaking. I've sent out emails. I haven't looked at my inbox today, so maybe I've gotten responses, but I wouldn't know. But we need to decide on who's going to be able to be there for the full hour, who's going to be able to call in for segments, get kind of a rough agenda set up. Kathleen definitely advocates for keeping it very loose, letting the conversation become natural, and you know, it's a talk show. You know, you want it to flow and not feel very rigid. But yeah, some preparation in advance would be helpful. In all honesty, Kai, originally when we set up this call for the writing contest, at least we had that separate link. We were going to go for another half hour. So if anyone can stay for that half hour, feel free to. I would love to kind of continue this conversation. If you can't, that's fine too. Feel free to hop off. But yeah, I have another half hour allotted to this conversation about the writing contest and Hometown AK. In regards to the writing contest, we were talking about like not wanting to like subdue Alaska Humanities Forum's piece in this and letting them be the initial people to publish. I know Kathleen is interested in talking a bit about the writing contest, so I'm not sure like what that series of events looks like. However, I think it would be really fun to announce on Hometown AK that the pieces and winners will be published in Alaska Humanities Forums, and maybe we can just announce who the winners are and kind of say that out loud and have that be the first announcement for the winners. And then, yeah,
I think that's great, Sarah. And actually it tees up the magazine and promotes the magazine.
Yeah.
So in some ways I love that, you know, announce it, even sharing excerpts if they want to do that. And then it's like, hey, you want to read the winning pieces, check out Forum Magazine summer issue. So I actually love how that sets it up.
Cool. Awesome. Good to hear that that has your blessing, Jan. And also, yeah, I definitely hear what you're saying, Kai, as well.